The stars glittered against the black void as the Raxian science vessel Nebula Seeker drifted toward the edge of Solar System 3621b. Captain Zix Val stood on the bridge, his four eyes fixed on the main screen. His scaled fingers tapped nervously against the command console. "Captain, we are crossing the boundary into forbidden space," said Navigator Threll. "Galactic Confederacy regulations clearly state." "I know the regulations," Zix Val interrupted. "But no ship has entered this system in over 50 years. The risk is acceptable. The system ahead once belonged to humans. Now it was nothing but a graveyard, at least according to official records. The Confederacy had declared the entire region off-limits after the extinction event. Some said it was out of respect. Others whispered it was out of fear." Science Officer Krell moved to the captain's side. "The potential discoveries here could advance our civilization by decades. The humans were primitive in many ways, but their weapons technology was remarkable." Zix Val nodded. That was the real reason they were here. The Raxian Science Authority needed an edge in the growing Cold War with the hegemony. If even half the stories about human weapons were true, this mission could change everything. "Take us in. Slow approach. Passive scans only," ordered Zix Val. The ship glided past the outer planets. Gas giants loomed in the distance, their rings shimmering in the faint sunlight. Everything seemed peaceful, abandoned. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy readings near the fourth planet," reported sensor technician Voss. "It could be residual radiation, but the pattern seems organized." Krell rushed to the sensor station, her eyes widening as she analyzed the data. These readings match no known natural phenomenon. They appear to be artificial in origin. Artificial? After all this time? Zix Val's heart beat faster. Could some human technology still be functioning? "It would be unprecedented," said Krell. "According to historical records, the Coalition bombardment was thorough. No significant human infrastructure should have survived." The Nebula Seeker adjusted course toward Mars, the red planet growing larger on their view screen. As they approached, they spotted objects in orbit. "Magnify," ordered Zix Val. The screen showed what appeared to be abandoned space stations and satellites. Some were clearly damaged, but others seemed intact, floating silently in the void. "A perfect archaeological site," whispered Krell, her voice filled with excitement. "These structures have been untouched since the humans vanished. We must investigate." Despite his eagerness, Zix Val felt uneasy. "Scan for any active power signatures before we approach." Voss worked at her console for several moments. "I detect minimal power readings from the largest structure. It appears to be on some kind of standby mode, but definitely not dead." "Fascinating," said Krell. "Their technology was hardy enough to survive all these decades. This proves humans were more advanced than the Confederacy believed." Zix Val made his decision. "Prepare a research shuttle. Krell, you'll lead the expedition team. Full environmental suits and basic weapons only, for protection against debris. Not that we expect to find anything living." As the crew prepared for the expedition, Lieutenant Mox approached the captain. "Sir, I must register my concern. The Confederacy prohibited entry to this system for good reason. The humans were dangerous." "The humans are gone, Lieutenant," Zix Val replied firmly. "All that remains are relics, valuable relics that could help our people." The research shuttle launched from the Nebula Seeker making its way toward the largest of the derelict stations. Its lights illuminated the ancient human structure, revealing the faded words, "Mars Defense Outpost," on its hull. As the shuttle docked with the station's airlock, none of the Raxians noticed the small red light that began blinking inside the abandoned control room. Nor did they detect the silent signal that raced away from Mars, traveling deep into the solar system at the speed of light. The alarm had been triggered. After a century of silence, someone had entered the graveyard. Deep under the lunar surface, in a facility known as Cheyenne Mountain Complex II, A red light began to flash on a monitoring console. The alarm tone was soft at first, then grew louder as the system confirmed the intrusion was real. Lieutenant Jack Norton jerked awake in his chair. He had been halfway through his 12-hour monitoring shift when he dozed off. Nothing ever happened during these shifts. Nothing had happened for 30 years. Until now. "What the hell?" he muttered, quickly scanning the alert details. His eyes widened. "Computer, confirm Mars Defense Grid alert status." A calm female voice responded. "Alert confirmed. Unknown vessel has made contact with Outpost 7. Biological signatures detected. Non-human in origin." Jack's hands shook slightly as he pressed the emergency communication button. "Command, this is Norton at Monitoring Station 6. We have a code Crimson. I repeat, code Crimson. Aliens have entered the system and are currently at Mars Outpost 7. Commander Diane Wright's voice came through almost immediately. "Norton, are you absolutely certain? This is not a drill scenario." "No, ma'am. Centennial has confirmed biological signatures. They're docking with the outpost right now." There was a pause, then, "Initiate Protocol Dreamer. Lock down all external communications. I'm calling an emergency council meeting." Jack activated the protocol, which would keep the aliens from detecting any human communications within the system. Then he switched his monitors to direct feed from the Mars outpost's hidden cameras. The images showed strange, reptilian creatures in environmental suits entering through the airlock. They moved cautiously, scanning the abandoned corridors with handheld devices. After all this time, Jack whispered to himself, "They finally came back." 40 minutes later, the Emergency Response Council gathered in the lunar base's central command room. The 12 highest-ranking military and civilian leaders sat around a circular table, their faces grim as they watched the alien explorers on the main screen. Admiral Pete Harris, the highest military authority in the solar system, spoke first. "After 120 years of hiding, they've found us. The question is, what do we do about it?" Commander Wright pulled up sensor data on her tablet. The alien vessel appears to be a scientific research ship, lightly armed. Crew complement of approximately 25. They don't match the biometric profiles of any species involved in the Earth attack. Dr. Susan Garcia, head of xenobiology, studied the footage closely. Their physiology suggests they're Raxians. According to our historical records, they were a neutral party during the war. They may not even know what happened to Earth beyond the official story. "Which makes their presence here even more interesting," said General Kyle Edwards. "They're breaking Galactic Confederacy law by being here. They want something badly enough to risk punishment." Admiral Harris tapped his fingers on the table. "We have 3 options. 1. We stay hidden, let them look around the decoy outpost, then leave. 2. We destroy their ship and maintain our secret. 3. We initiate Protocol Lazarus and reveal ourselves." The room fell silent. Protocol Lazarus, the plan for humanity's return to the galactic stage, had been in development for decades, but most believed they needed at least another 20 years of preparation before they would be ready. "We need more information before deciding," said Dr. Garcia. "We should observe them, see what they're after." General Edwards shook his head. "Every moment they're in our system increases the risk of them discovering our actual presence. The Mars outpost has enough decoy data to satisfy curiosity seekers, but these look like scientists. They'll be thorough." Admiral Harris stood up. "I'm activating the Mars defense grid to containment mode. The mines will herd them away from sensitive areas, but not destroy them unless they resist. Meanwhile, I want a strike team prepared to board their vessel if necessary." He turned to Commander Wright. "Contact Major Samantha Clark and the 1st Special Operations Team. Tell them to suit up and prepare for possible first contact." As the Council continued their debate, the Raxians moved deeper into the Mars outpost, unaware they were being watched, and that the supposed graveyard, they had entered was very much alive. The memory room was quiet except for the soft hum of the holographic projector. Admiral Frank Haywood stood alone, watching scenes from Earth's final days. The images showed cities burning, massive alien ships in the sky, and desperate human defenders fighting a losing battle. He came here often, sometimes to remember, sometimes to fuel his determination. Today, it was to prepare himself for a decision that might change everything. A gentle knock interrupted his thoughts. Dr. Susan Garcia entered, her gray hair tied back in a simple bun. "Admiral Harris sent me to find you," she said. "The Council needs your input on the alien situation." Frank nodded. As the oldest living human who had witnessed Earth's fall, his opinion carried special weight. He was only 16 when the attack happened, a cadet at the Luna Academy. Now, at 136, advanced medical technology kept him healthy, but nothing could erase his memories. "What do you think we should do, Susan?" he asked. She sighed. "I studied aliens my whole life, but never actually met one. Our knowledge comes from salvaged data and intercepted communications. This could be our chance to learn firsthand." Frank turned off the projector. "Let me tell you about the day everything changed." The holographic display shifted to show a younger Frank in a small transport ship, watching Earth from orbit. "We thought we were ready for first contact. We'd been sending signals into space for decades. When the alien coalition arrived, they seemed peaceful at first. They established diplomatic relations, traded some basic technology. The display showed alien delegates meeting with human leaders. Then, without warning, they attacked. Later, we learned why. Their scans had detected our military capabilities and determined we would eventually become a threat. They decided to eliminate us before we could reach the stars. The images showed the devastating first strike that killed billions. If not for Admiral Chen's paranoia, humanity would have been wiped out completely. She had built secret bunkers on Mars, the Moon, and the moons of Jupiter. She had hidden ships and resources. Most importantly, she had a plan. Frank's voice grew stronger. 25 million humans escaped Earth. Just a fraction of our population, but enough. We hid. We rebuilt. We let them believe they had succeeded in eliminating us. Dr. Garcia nodded. She had heard this story before, but it never lost its power. For the first 50 years, we stayed completely hidden. Then we began cautious expeditions into the outer solar system. We built habitats inside asteroids and moons. We developed technology that couldn't be detected by standard scans. Frank walked toward the door. Now we have nearly 200 million humans living in this system. We have factories, farms, universities, all hidden from view. We've built defenses that would surprise even those who tried to destroy us. As they walked through the corridor toward the council chamber, they passed windows overlooking a vast underground city. Thousands of people moved through streets lined with buildings, parks, and shops, all built beneath the lunar surface. Our plan was to wait another generation before revealing ourselves, Frank said. To build more ships, train more soldiers, establish bases in nearby star systems. But plans change. They'd reached the council chamber doors. Inside, the debate had grown heated. "We should destroy their ship now," General Edwards was saying. "We can't risk exposure. That would make us no better than those who attacked Earth," Commander Wright argued. Admiral Harris noticed Frank's arrival and called for silence. "Admiral Haywood, we value your perspective on this matter." All eyes turned to Frank. He looked at the screen showing the aliens still exploring the Mars outpost, unaware of the debate their presence had sparked. "Let me tell you what Admiral Chen told me before she died," Frank said quietly. "She said the greatest mistake the aliens made wasn't attacking us. It was assuming we were defeated." Back on the Asterisk, Nebula Seeker Asterisk, Navigation Officer Threll paced nervously. The research team had been inside the human station for nearly 2 hours, and something felt wrong. "They should have reported in by now," he said to Lieutenant Mox, who monitored communications. Perhaps the station's structure is interfering with signals, Mux suggested, though he didn't sound convinced. Suddenly, all the ship's alarms activated at once. Red lights flashed throughout the bridge as warning messages appeared on every screen. "Multiple objects approaching," shouted the sensor operator. Hundreds of them, coming from all directions. Threll rushed to the command chair. With Captain Zixval on the research mission, he was in charge of the ship. "Show me." The main screen displayed a three-dimensional map of their position. Small dots surrounded them in a sphere, moving closer with each passing second. "What are they?" demanded Threll. "Unknown, sir. Too small for ships. Moving too deliberately for debris." The sensor operator's voice shook. "They're approximately 1 meter in diameter each." "Mines," whispered Mux. "They must be automated defense mines." Threll hit the emergency communication button. "Captain Zixval, return to the ship immediately. The station's defenses have activated." Inside the Mars outpost, Zixval and his team received the warning with shock. "Mines. After all this time?" He turned to Science Officer Krell. "We need to leave now." As they rushed back to their shuttle, Krell continued scanning the facility. "Captain, these systems can't be running automatically after a century. Something is controlling them." "Theories later. Survival now," Zixval replied. The research team boarded their shuttle and detached from the station. Through the viewport, they could see small metallic spheres approaching the Nebula Seeker asterisk. On the bridge, Threll made his decision. "Full power to engines. Get us out of this system." The ship's thrusters fired, pushing it away from Mars. For a moment, it seemed they might escape. Then the mines changed course, matching their speed with impossible precision. Several moved directly into their path. "Evasive maneuvers," Threll ordered. The Nebula Seeker rolled and turned, but wherever they went, the mines adjusted. It wasn't random. The mines were herding them, forcing them toward the asteroid belt. The research shuttle docked with the main ship just as the first mine detonated nearby. The explosion rocked the vessel, damaging one of the secondary engines. Captain Zixval rushed onto the bridge. "Status report. Main power at 82%, reported the engineering officer. "Hull breach on Deck 3, sealed automatically. 1 engine damage." "The mines aren't trying to destroy us," observed Krell, studying the sensor data. "If they wanted to, they could have. They're pushing us in a specific direction." Zixval took command. "Send a distress signal to the Confederacy. Tell them we've encountered active defenses in the human system." "Communications are being jammed," said Mux. "Something is blocking all outgoing transmissions." Another mine detonated, closer this time. The ship shuddered. "These aren't ordinary mines," said Krell with a mixture of fear and scientific fascination. "They're responding to our movements, making decisions. They must have some kind of artificial intelligence." "Impossible," said Mux. "Human AI technology was primitive." "Apparently not," Zixval replied grimly. On the main screen, they watched as the mines formed a narrow corridor, leaving them only one possible route, deeper into the solar system. "We have no choice," said Zixval. "Follow their path. Minimum speed." The Nebula Seeker moved forward cautiously, surrounded by hundreds of deadly mines. The crew worked in tense silence, knowing any wrong move could mean instant destruction. In the Cheyenne Mountain complex, Lieutenant Jack Norton watched the alien ship's progress on his monitor. Behind him, Major Samantha Clark and her special operations team prepared their equipment. "They're following the mine corridor perfectly," Jack reported. "Sentinel EL is bringing them straight to capture point Alpha." Major Clark checked her weapon one final time. "Good. Let's go introduce ourselves to our visitors." The Nebula Seeker drifted to a stop near a large asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. The swarm of mines now formed a sphere around the ship, preventing any escape. For 6 hours, the alien crew had tried every possible way to break free or send a distress signal, Nothing worked. "Captain, something is happening," said Lieutenant Mox, pointing at the main screen. A section of the asteroid's surface was moving, sliding open to reveal a hidden docking bay. Lights activated along its edges, guiding the ship toward the entrance. "It's a trap," said Threll. "It's our only option," Captain Zixval replied. "We're low on fuel, our engines are damaged, and those mines will destroy us if we resist." He took a deep breath. "Take us in, slow approach." The Asterisk Nebula Seeker Asterisk entered the docking bay, which was large enough to accommodate a vessel 3 times its size. The outer doors closed behind them, and atmosphere flooded the chamber. Gravity generators activated, pulling the ship gently down to the docking clamps. "Life support readings show breathable atmosphere outside," reported Science Officer Krell. "Temperature and pressure within Raxian comfort ranges. Almost as if it were prepared for us," muttered Zixval. A communication request pinged on their console. After a moment's hesitation, Zixval accepted it. A voice spoke in perfect Raxian. "Captain Zixval, please prepare to receive boarding party. Your crew will not be harmed if you cooperate." The aliens looked at each other in shock. No one had expected the automated defenses to speak their language. "Who are you?" Zixval demanded. There was a pause before the voice responded. "The owners of the system you have illegally entered. Please stand by." 20 minutes later, the ship's airlock opened. Captain Zixval stood with Krell and Mox, waiting to meet whatever controlled the mines. They expected robots or drones. Instead, 5 figures in sleek combat armor entered the ship. The suits were unlike any design the Raxians had seen before. The leader's helmet retracted, revealing the human face. "I am Major Samantha Clark of the Earth Defense Force," she said through a translator device on her wrist. "You are in restricted space." The aliens stared in stunned silence. Humans, living humans, it was impossible. "Humans are extinct," Krell finally managed to say. "Your species was eliminated in the Confederacy-Earth War over a century ago." Major Clark's expression remained neutral. "Reports of our extinction were greatly exaggerated." She gestured for them to follow her. "Admiral Harris would like to speak with you. You may bring 3 crew members. The rest will remain here under guard." Zixval, still shocked, nodded to Krell and Mox. Together, they followed the humans through the airlock and into the asteroid facility. What they saw inside defied all expectations. Instead of a small outpost, they entered a massive complex. Corridors stretched in all directions. Humans in both military and civilian clothing moved purposefully about their tasks. Some stopped to stare at the aliens, but most continued their work as if visitors from other worlds were a common sight. "This facility houses 10,000 people," explained Major Clark as she led them to a transport tube. "It's one of our smaller settlements." "Smaller," gasped Krell. "How many humans survived?" Clark didn't answer directly. "This way to the briefing room." The transport tube carried them deep into the asteroid. When the doors opened, they entered a large conference room with a window overlooking an enormous open space. Below them stretched an underground city with buildings, parks, and thousands of humans going about their daily lives. "Welcome to New Armstrong," said a man standing at the head of the conference table. "I'm Admiral Pete Harris. We have some questions for you, Captain Zixval. And I suspect you have quite a few for us as well." Zixval could barely find his voice. The greatest archaeological discovery in history had just become something far more significant. The return of a species everyone believed was gone forever. Admiral Harris gestured for the aliens to sit. Captain Zixval, Science Officer Krell, and Lieutenant Mox took seats across from Major Clark and 2 other human officers. "You understand our situation now," said Admiral Harris. "For over a century, the galaxy has believed humans were extinct. We've used that assumption to rebuild in secret." Zixval nodded slowly, still processing the shock. "But why reveal yourselves to us? You could have destroyed our ship, left no witnesses." "We considered that option," Admiral Harris admitted. But we've had enough of hiding, and we need information about the current state of galactic politics. Krell leaned forward. The Confederacy that attacked Earth no longer exists. It evolved into what we now call the hegemony, a union of 7 species that controls most of known space. A human woman at the end of the table spoke up. I'm Dr. Susan Garcia. We're the Threll part of this evolution. The Threll led it, said Mox bitterly. They used the technology and resources gained from Earth to dominate other worlds. My people, the Raxians, are one of the few independent species remaining. Admiral Harris exchanged glances with Major Clark. So our old enemies are now the dominant power. That complicates matters. The briefing room door opened, and a much older human entered. Everyone stood respectfully. Admiral Haywood, Harris said with a nod. The old man's eyes studied the aliens with intense curiosity. So these are our visitors. I never thought I'd live to see aliens up close again. Zixval felt a chill. This human was old enough to remember the war. The Raxians were neutral during the Earth conflict, explained Harris. No one was truly neutral, said Admiral Haywood, taking the seat. Some just avoided choosing sides openly. He turned to Zixval. Why did you come to our system, Captain? The truth, please. Zixval hesitated, then decided honesty was his only option. We're searching for weapons technology. The hegemony grows more aggressive each year. My government sent us to study human defense systems, hoping to find something we could use. Ironic, said Haywood. You came looking for our weapons, and you found them still active, and pointed at you. Dr. Garcia displayed a holographic map of the galaxy. Can you show us the current borders of hegemony space and the locations of other independent worlds? As Krell updated the map with current information, the humans grew increasingly concerned. They've expanded much further than our intelligence suggested, said Major Clark. How have you gathered intelligence? Asked Mox. If you've stayed hidden in this system. Admiral Harris smiled slightly. We haven't been completely isolated. Small stealth ships have ventured into nearby systems for decades. But we've avoided populated worlds and major trade routes. While they continued discussing galactic politics, Captain Zixval studied the humans. They weren't the primitive, violent species described in Confederacy records. These people had survived genocide, rebuilt their civilization inside asteroids and moons, and developed technology that impressed even him. I have a proposal, said Admiral Haywood suddenly, one that could benefit both our peoples. Everyone turned to listen. Captain Zixval, when you return to Raxian space, take some of our people with you as unofficial representatives. They can share defensive technology with your government while gathering more information about the hegemony. And in exchange, asked Zixval, your silence about our existence for now, and a promise of alliance when we finally reveal ourselves to the galaxy. Admiral Harris nodded in agreement. We've waited a century for the right moment to announce our survival. That time is approaching, but we need allies who weren't part of the original attack on Earth. Lieutenant Mox looked skeptical. The hegemony has thousands of warships. How could you possibly stand against them? Major Clark smiled. You've seen our minds. That's just the beginning of what we've developed. While the galaxy thought we were dead, added Admiral Haywood, we've had a century to prepare for our return. And this time, we won't be caught unprepared. Zixval realized he and his crew had stumbled into something far bigger than an archaeological expedition. They had just become part of humanity's plan to reclaim their place among the stars. 6 months had passed since the Nebula Seeker left the solar system. Captain Zixval's official report to the Raxian Science Authority mentioned only damaged records found in the abandoned human outposts. The real discoveries remained a closely guarded secret, known only to the Raxian High Council. Lieutenant Alan Pierce sat in a hidden laboratory deep beneath the Raxian capital city. Around him, Raxian engineers worked on adapting human technology to their systems. As the leader of the 12-person human team sent as advisors, Alan had spent months teaching the aliens about human defense systems. "The mind programming is complete," said Vex, the lead Raxian engineer. "We've adapted it to work with our production facilities." Alan inspected the prototype hovering in a containment field. It looked different from the original human design, with a bluish Raxian metal shell, but the core technology was the same. Inside was the HFY system, human intelligent volatile explosives, capable of making complex decisions and working as part of a coordinated swarm. "How many can you produce per day?" Alan asked. "With all factories converted, about 5,000, replied Vex. "We've already seeded the outer system defenses with the first batch." A communication alert sounded. Alan activated the secure channel connected directly to Earth. Admiral Harris appeared on the screen. "Progress report, Lieutenant." "Phase 1 is complete, sir," said Alan. "The Raxians have successfully adapted our mind technology and begun production. Their scientists are already working on the next generation of improvements." Admiral Harris nodded. "Good work. Our intelligence suggests the hegemony has noticed the increased activity in Raxian space. They're sending ships to investigate. How much time do we have?" 2 weeks, maybe less. "Is that enough time to deploy a functioning defense grid?" Ellen glanced at Vex, who nodded confidently. "Yes, sir. The main trade routes and approach vectors will be covered." "Excellent. And the other preparations?" "In progress. The Raxian military has begun training with our combat simulations. Their ships are being quietly retrofitted with our shield technology. When the hegemony arrives, they'll find the Raxians much better prepared than expected." After the transmission ended, Alan joined a strategy meeting with Raxian military leaders. The mood was tense but determined. The latest intelligence reports confirm the hegemony battle group includes 15 warships, said General Krex, pointing to a holographic display. "They'll enter our system here, near the 4th planet." "That's perfect," said Alan. "The minefields are densest in that sector. They'll have no idea what hit them." Meanwhile, back in the human solar system, preparations were accelerating. In a massive underground shipyard beneath the lunar surface, engineers worked around the clock on the final stages of Operation Ghost Fleet. Commander Diane Wright walked alongside Admiral Haywood, inspecting the newest additions to humanity's armada. Huge warships, hidden for decades, were being brought back to active service with upgraded weapons and defenses. "The Defiance will be ready for launch tomorrow," she reported. "That completes the first battle group." Admiral Haywood nodded with satisfaction. "After 100 years, our ships will finally leave this system in force." "Do you think the Raxians will hold until we arrive?" asked Commander Wright. "They don't need to win, only survive long enough for us to make our entrance." The old admiral smiled. "I wish I could see the faces of the hegemony commanders when they realize who they're facing." In the main control center, the AI system Sentinel coordinated all defensive operations throughout the solar system. It had been monitoring hegemony communications for decades, learning their tactics and weaknesses. "Ghost Fleet launch preparations at 92% completion," reported Sentinel's calm voice. "All vessels show optimal readiness. Estimated time to full deployment, 72 hours. Admiral Pete Harris studied the strategic display showing both human and hegemony forces. Soon, the waiting would be over. The secret that humanity had kept for a century was about to be revealed. The hegemony battle fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Raxian system. 15 warships, led by the massive dreadnought Eternal Dominion moved into attack formation. Their orders were simple: investigate the unusual activity and remind the Raxians of their place in the galactic order. Commander Vex of the Thrall stood on the bridge of the dreadnought, watching as his ships approached the 4th planet. "No sign of significant defenses," reported his tactical officer. "Just the usual patrol ships. They're retreating toward the inner system." Vex smiled. This would be easy. The Raxians had always been weak, technologically inferior. That's why they had remained independent. They weren't worth conquering. Send the standard warning, he ordered. Demand their immediate surrender and compliance inspection. As the fleet advanced, they detected small objects scattered throughout the approach vector. Mining operations, perhaps, suggested the science officer. Scan them, ordered Vex. Before the scans completed, the objects suddenly moved, forming a complex pattern around the hegemony ships. They're active. Some kind of defensive system, shouted the tactical officer. Destroy them, Vex commanded calmly. The lead hegemony ships fired, destroying several of the mines. But for each one destroyed, dozens more emerged from hiding places in the asteroid belt. The mines are surrounding Alpha Squadron, reported communications. On the tactical display, Vex watched with growing concern as 3 of his ships were completely enveloped by the strange devices. Then, simultaneously, the mines detonated. When the energy signatures cleared, all 3 ships had disappeared. Impossible. Vex slammed his fist on the command console. What technology is this? In the Raxian Command Center, Lieutenant Alan Pierce and General Krex watched the battle unfold. The hive minds are performing better than expected, said Krex, but they're adapting their tactics. The remaining ships are forming a defensive sphere. Ellen checked his chronometer. They only need to hold for another 10 minutes. Aboard the Asterisk, Eternal Dominion Asterisk, Commander Vex regrouped his forces. 7 ships had been destroyed already, but the remaining 8 formed a tight formation that the mines couldn't penetrate. Where did the Raxians get this technology? He demanded. This is beyond their capabilities. Suddenly, new energy signatures appeared on their sensors. Massive hyperspace ruptures formed at 6 points around the hegemony fleet. More ships incoming, shouted the sensor officer. Configuration unknown. 6 enormous warships emerged from hyperspace, their black hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. They were unlike any design the hegemony had encountered before. Each was twice the size of the Asterisk Eternal Dominion Asterisk. A transmission cut across all communication channels, broadcasting in perfect thrill. This is Admiral Nicol Bennett of the Earth Defense Force. Your ships have entered protected space. You are surrounded and outgunned. Surrender immediately. The bridge of the dreadnought fell silent. Earth, it wasn't possible. Earth was destroyed a century ago, Vex said, his voice shaking slightly. This is some Raxian trick. Another voice joined the transmission. This is no trick, Commander. Humanity survived your attempted genocide. We rebuilt. We prepared. And now, we've returned. More ships appeared, dozens, then hundreds. Small fighters launched from the larger vessels, swarming toward the hegemony fleet. Sir, should we retreat? Asked Vex's second-in-command. Before Vex could answer, the tactical officer reported. The hyperspace drive is offline. The mines have damaged our engines. On the main human vessel, the Asterisk Retribution Asterisk, Admiral Nicol Bennett watched as her forces surrounded the remaining hegemony ships. After all these years, she said quietly, today we reclaim our place in the galaxy. Behind her stood Admiral Frank Haywood, tears in his old eyes. He had lived to see this day, the day humanity emerged from hiding, and showed the galaxy they had never truly been defeated. Send the message to all worlds, he ordered. Let the galaxy know. Earth has returned.